Before we begin, this video is sponsored by U7 by, yup, again. God knows, in Endfield of all games, you need the rolls. Don't you want Zhuang Fangyi? She's gonna do it for real this time if you don't roll straight up N hero. The site is fast, trustworthy, completely secure, and affordable, featuring both Arknights, and this time there's no placeholder pictures on the original Arknights. Otherwise, the other gachas are here too. Use code GAMUSI to enjoy up to 16% off, and links in the description and pinned comment. Yes, it's the same code for both games. Endfield 1.2. Let's start with the positives, the things that I enjoyed from it. First of all, I don't think, again, this changes the position of the game in the wider gacha game ecosystem. It's still very much the Megumi Fushiguro of the gacha games. It's very much the potential man. The presentation is still immaculate, the game is beautiful, the music is like 10 out of 10, the presentation in general is really second to none. In the first half there was the scene with Ardashir, which was really good, really food for thought. Ardashir is an insanely interesting character. Gameplay-wise, the gameplay of the Nefarif, Jane Nefarious boss fight was really great, it was really engaging. It's not just do your rotation, ooga booga, deal 10 million damage. The final attack was really cool as well. Then there's the scene with Fangyi, from when she sits down to write the letter, all the way to like 30 minutes later. That is the first scene in all of Endfield where I can confidently say that that had the hypergriff sauce that was missing from this game. Exactly, that scene is the closest we got to the original Arknights. And then it continues, we have a very great Fangyi character moments, there's a lot of subtext. The game doesn't sit you down to explain it, it lets you absorb it. The game is not like, hey Fangyi, please don't kill yourself, I know you want to kill yourself. And it's not like, Endmin, I am going to kill myself, I write you this letter because I will kill myself. No, they let you understand that, they let the subtext speak for itself. You even have the moment at the end where the endmin is like, will you leave me too, Fangyi? That is a subtle way of being like, hey, please don't fucking kill yourself. But then there's everything else. Arcane. What the fuck is up with Arcane? She's the most giant question mark of the entire patch. She shows up, I can't fucking stand the way that she talks like a ChatGPT. I was half expecting Arcane to go, sorry Endmin, you have run out of tokens, I cannot fulfill your request at this moment, please consider subscribing to Wuling Plus. And the way that she talks makes the exposition so much more evident. Even in 1.0, 1.1, there was a lot of exposition, but it was delivered by very vibrant characters. You had Yvonne, you had Andre, you had Tantang to give that exposition. Here you have Arcane GPT to give you the exposition, it's so much more boring and evident. Then what else? You have her sacrifice herself, going to the calm dimension with Ardashir, and it's like, am I supposed to care? Of course I'm supposed to care, but the game doesn't really do anything to make me care with Arcane. You have the first impression, and it's like, you can like Arcane from the first impression if you're into kuderes. If back in the day you were blowing loads to Kirigiri from Danganronpa, then you can like Arcane. But after the first impression, which is entirely up to the player, the game, the story, doesn't do anything to make me give a shit. There's one scene which was good, the scene where Endmin is like, hey, don't throw your life away, please, and Arcane is like, is this in order? That is a very creative way to show off her personality. But beside that, the game doesn't really do anything at all to make me care. And then there's her personality, right? When you have a kudere like this, you are supposed to have other characters that they can bounce off of. For example, Texas in the original Arknights has Exia, has Croissant, has Sora, and has Lapland. Fucking Kirigiri from Danganronpa, you have Byakuya in the game, that fucking psychopath Byakuya to bounce off her. Here we had Chen. There was the intention that Arcane is supposed to bounce off of Chen, but there's no chemistry. They don't really have chemistry. Like, they clearly care for each other, you can see that they care for each other, but it's not Mifu and Tantang. There's no real chemistry between Chen and Arcane. So you get this character, which is a fucking cardboard cutout of a woman, and no one to bounce off her. Then another issue with part 1, with the first half of 1.2, is that if you examine it as a story, if you detach it from the presentation, if you detach it from the hype moments and aura, if you detach it from the gameplay, as a story, there's nothing there. It's really, really dry. All of the first half of 1.2 doesn't give you anything to chew on. There's basically no subtext. There's just... It's structured in such a way where the characters are just, we are doing this for this reason, and this is how we're doing it, and then you go do it. Now we are doing this for this reason, and this is how we're doing it, and then you go do it. Now we're doing this for this reason, and this is how we're gonna do it, up until the Neferif boss fight. Of course, this is excluding the Ardashir scene. You know, removing the Ardashir scene, okay? Everything beside that had no substance to speak of. It really was just hype moments and aura, which, don't get me wrong, the set pieces, the aura, the hype moments were really immaculate. They were really, really well crafted to really get you hyped to play the game. But as a story, there's nothing there. Okay, when it comes to Neferif, when it comes to Jane Nefariuf, I hope she comes back, because if she's actually dead, imagine if Neferif is actually dead, and that's it, that's the character. She did nothing, she was nothing, she was just John Evil, she becomes Gore Magala, and then she dies. God, I hope she comes back, because otherwise this was the most nothing fucking character ever. But okay, at least there's the second half. At least there's the second half where it's much more focused on character writing. And you know what? The second half makes the hype moments and aura feel a lot more impactful. Because yeah, the 1v1 with Gore Magala Neferif and the flashing lights and the crazy anime attacks with the sword, that's cool. But that's not what I'm gonna remember. What I'm gonna remember is Fangyi holding back the fucking Blight portal thing. Because that had setup. You paid off all of the character writing with hype moments and aura. That was a good payoff, a very satisfying, cathartic payoff that made the aura moments feel so much more impactful. Meanwhile, the first half is just hype moments and aura. Fucking Arcane is the top 1 ranked aura farmer in all of Talos 2 to rival fucking Piccolo. And so the hype moments and aura just feel like that, they end at themselves. It's a cool clip to watch on YouTube. It doesn't have any real narrative weight. Well, all in all, this patch was a 1.4 out of 10. Thank you all for coming to the stream. Arknights. Arknights Endfield. I love Endfield. I love Arknights Endfield. It's my favorite game. Arknights Endfield. Have you heard of it? It's a good game. Endfield. Go play Arknights Endfield right now. Arknights Endfield. I love Endfield. It's such a good game. You know who should play Arknights Endfield? Bar2D2X, Skyloft YouTube, Kami I Love Wishadel, Viper Sushi, Lozu, Neg PXL, Francisco Nunez, Sora Light Ira, Yuzu Watcha, F Ramn, Alclane, Noel Runes, Kindred 2, Lizard King, Ascended Asen, Nemotic, Soramars Link, Donon Chef, Cincintuna, Ilio, Levinchad, Box, Divius, Bomb Ninja, Apollo T, QX102, Mistal Rare, Natrimo Raptor, Seinshin Kaju, no, Jaku, Never Far Off, Zephyrinix, Nupo, Sulfur 7, Shirodezu, Prancing Peppers, Sergio Alvarez, Sebby Stum, Sankenshi, Chromachan, 5QTZK, Genus Gay Cheaper, Camon Hira, and Larmendra, Yuvune, King of Harems, and that guy with 2 names. Goodbye.